Hi, my name is William Gao, and I am a student for the Florida Atlantic University Pine Jog Fellowship here at the FAU Pine Jog Environmental Education Center. The fellowship is a course in which students who are interested in the environment can dual enroll, and within the course they learn all about different aspects of the environment as well as how they can help. During the second semester, we were supposed to put what we learned in the first semester to good use by engaging in a project which would benefit the local environment by changing a policy or practice of some sort. One of the environmental concepts that I learned about in the summer semester was the concept of biodiversity, which is a term used to describe the wide variety of plants and animals found in a certain ecosystem. For my project, I decided to address the decline in biodiversity within my community, and I decided to do so by fighting the decline of native species. More specifically, the decline in native butterflies. Once I selected this issue, I needed to conduct some research on what policies and practices I could change in order to properly address this issue. After some research, I found out all about Florida's obsession with landscaping and beautification projects, and I decided what better way to address this issue than to incorporate biodiversity-friendly practices into landscaping projects themselves. After conducting my research, I found out through my parents that the South Florida Water Management District was in the process of building a series of butterfly gardens at their headquarters. And I also knew from previous visits to their headquarters that all the plants that were used for decoration over there were in fact just useless decoration plants that served no other real purpose. I decided that the policy or practice I wanted to change was to incorporate more biodiversity-friendly methods into the landscaping practices over at the South Florida Water Management District. My first step was to contact the employees over at the South Florida Water Management District who were in charge of the gardens and to request to take charge of one of their gardens where I could implement my own biodiversity-friendly ideas into the garden itself, with the intent being to set an example for the district on how to properly incorporate biodiversity-friendly methods into their own landscaping practices. I selected this method because even if the South Florida Water Management District decided not to take my ideas to heart, I would still have made an impact on the local environment by helping boost the local biodiversity with my own garden. Fortunately for me, the employees who were in charge of the gardens, Miss Kim Odell and Mr. Mike Manna, graciously accepted my proposition. We then scheduled a date for when we could meet in person to discuss the specifics of the garden. On September 14th, I met with Miss Odell and Mr. Manna in person, and we selected an ideal site in which to plant the garden and discussed how to procure the plants for the garden itself. Unfortunately for me, I was informed that I would need to procure my own plants for the garden since the SFW&D couldn't provide me with any. I decided to do so by gathering up donations from local native plant nurseries. After conducting my research on native Floridian butterfly plants, I compiled a list and contacted various local nurseries and told them of my project and requested a few donations. The three nurseries that accepted my request happened to be Southern Native Nursery, Native Choice Nursery, and Indian Trails Nursery. I was able to gather up a total of 15 butterfly plants from all three nurseries. On October 31st, with the help of my family and with Mr. Mike Manna and his daughter, we were able to successfully plant every single one of the plants I had gathered. Checking back with the garden a week later, I found that the garden itself was thriving and it had even attracted a few monarch butterfly caterpillars. Looking back, I am very satisfied with the outcome of my experiment. The garden is thriving on its own and is making an obvious impact on the local butterfly species. If there's one thing that I had to change about my project, it would be to make it more certain that the district has modified their landscaping practices in the way that I intended. I plan on keeping in touch with them in the future to keep track of how much of an impact I've made on them.